Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I've got a Halloween card to share with you, and this is actually the only card I made this year. It's a new stamp set by Avery, Elle called Halloween S'mores, and I got one look at these adorable little characters and had to grab it and put it in my cart. My favorite of these, although they're all adorable, is this little marshmallow in the middle with the bat wings. I just thought he was too cute. So I am stamping this out using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use some of my Artex markers. They are alcohol markers to color this, and I don't want any of my stamping ink to bleed. So you do have to be careful what type of ink you use depending on what you're going to use to color with. This is my go-to. Anytime I'm doing any type of alcohol marker, whether it be this or Copics, I will always use my Tuxedo Black ink. So I have stamped that on my trusty Nina Solar White cardstock. That is also my go-to for pretty much everything. It works great with this alcohol ink, so it is just generally what I use for everything, and then I don't have to worry about it. I am coloring these in with a few different colors, doing some shading, some blending, adding some shadows where my characters overlap, and then of course creating some highlights to give these guys a little bit of depth. So I have left in my coloring here for you, though I have sped it up. It was pretty sweet and simple. I don't think I used more than 3, maybe 4 colors on each character. I'm just gonna let this run through. You can see how I layered everything to create a little bit of depth and give that some dimension. I will have all of the colors that I'm using listed on my blog post for you. These are numbered very similarly to the Copics, but as far as I can tell, they are not available for individual purchase. I haven't come up to where I really need to figure that out yet. I'm hoping there may be some type of refill system, but generally they just come in packs, and I would say that the packs are pretty reasonable compared to other alcohol markers. And so far I am really very happy with the sets that I have purchased. None of the markers have been dry. They're all really working beautifully. The only true difference that I have found between these and my Copics is the tip. This one is a little bit stiffer. It's not quite as large. Of course, that does help with some finer details, but it is sort of a different brush stroke. So if you're used to working with Copics, it does take a little bit of time to get used to. It just feels a little bit differently, but I think the inks that they have in here, they work really beautifully, they blend really beautifully, and overall I'm really enjoying playing around with this set. So I have gone ahead and fussy cut this out. I decided I wanted to have my characters sort of to have a nighttime sky background behind them. So in order to get their little legs and arms, which are just sort of little stick figure legs and arms, I wanted to get that stamped on my background. So this is trimmed out from MFT's Steel Gray cardstock, and the size for this is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, so slightly smaller than my standard, although I have been doing this size a lot more lately. I really sometimes enjoy having that larger colored border from my card base peeking out around the sides. So when I'm wanting to show off a little bit more of that color, this is the size that I go to. I've pulled in here some of my Mr. Huey's white, and I'll add a little bit of water to that. Just did one spray. It's kind of a waste. I wish I could do half a spray, but I'm just gonna take a paintbrush here, and I will just speckle some stars into the sky on the background. Once I have let that dry, now I can start getting everything together for my panel. I have fussy cut this out, as I mentioned, so I'm going to take my Memento Tuxedo black marker and I will run that along the edges of my cardstock, and that way I won't have any of that white peeking out. It'll have a nice solid black line all the way around it. It's not a necessity, but it does help to give a much cleaner look. I'm going to add a little art glitter glue to the back of this, and then I will press that down into place. For my sentiment, and also for the base of my card, I'm going to be using MFT's Wild Wisteria cardstock. There's a really pretty muted, almost a little bit of a grayish purple, and I don't use it very often, but as I was going through all of my colors, I thought this would look really nice with the gray, and it also gives a purpley feel. I don't know why I think of, I sort of think of purple and orange as Halloween. I don't know if everybody does, but in my mind it is. So I decided to go with purple. And I'm stamping out the sentiment here. I did stamp it out twice. My ink pad is a little bit too juicy. I refilled it. It needs to settle a little bit. So I did end up stamping it out twice, which I will do quite often if I have something that has a little smudge. I just kind of flip the page over and stamp it again. There is a little piece of this stamp set that has the word Smore in a really pretty script. So I have decided to stamp that out in white to kind of mimic our marshmallow. It's also going to go in between the two black sentiments, so I thought that was kind of fitting. I have used Versamark ink for that, and then I will heat set that with my heat gun. Just going to trim all of my sentiments down, trying to keep them somewhat even. And then I wanted to have this little marshmallow guy, who is my favorite, popped up. Just wanted to give him a little bit more drama. So I did go ahead and color another one of these that I stamped out. That's why I stamped several at a time, both to just have some extra and also to have extra to practice my coloring on, to make sure that I'm getting the colors that I wanted. So again, I will fussy cut this out. I did take my marker and go around the edges of that again as well. I have laid out my sentiments. I'm going to glue those down into place. Just making sure they're nice and straight. That is one nice thing about using the art glitter glue when you have sort of pieced up sentiments like this. Gives you a little bit of extra time to move things around and zhuzh them just a little bit to make sure they're right where you want them. Once it's down though and dried, it's down. I'm going to add some of my Sticky Thumb Pop Dots behind my marshmallow here. And you will see as the video goes on, I believe I left it in, These pop dots are great, but they are so dimensional. So I mean, they really have things pop up off the page. Because I'm planning on mailing this, I didn't want it to be quite that thick. So when you have something like this and you want it to be just a little bit of dimension, I took my scissors and just snipped it sort of halfway through the middle, just cutting off about half of that foam. And that gave me exactly what I was looking for. So of course, then I lose my sticky backing. I'll just add a little bit of the art glitter glue behind it, and then that will keep it in place. But I'm gonna add that last just because it's easier to attach things without the dimensions on it. Just checking, making sure I'm happy with that. I'm gonna add some foam tape to the back of my panel. There you can see some of my practicing on the back side of that. I do that quite often. If you don't like the way something stamps out the first time, flip it over, stamp it again. You might like that one better. I'm gonna peel back the backing and pop this on top of my card base. And there you'll see me kind of just cut those in half, just taking away a little bit of that dimension. And I'll add some art glitter glue to each of those and pop that into place as well. For the inside, I'm using another Nina panel. This is again trimmed to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And I'm gonna stamp out this sentiment, no tricks, just treats. So the no tricks just, I'm going to stamp again using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, just to keep all of the black the same, because some of them do read differently depending on the stamp that you use, or I mean the ink that you use. And then for the treats, I have pulled out some Simon Says Stamp Orange Crush, just to give that a little pop. I will stamp that out in orange. I'll add some ATG to the back, place that on the inside of my card base. And that will complete our card for today. I love it. I think these characters are so cute. Halloween is some more fun with friends like you. As always, linked in the description below, you'll find my blog post, which has close-up photos of the card, as well as a list of all of the products that I've used to create it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and I will see you in the next video.